Welcome to this incredible deep dive into one of the most fascinating and shocking discoveries in the world of coin collecting, an unassuming 1984 P Jefferson nickel that has stunned experts and collectors alike by reaching a staggering estimated worth of $78 million, an astronomical leap from its humble 5-cent face value. And today we're going to explore how such an everyday pocket change item became one of the most coveted coins in numismatic history, with its rarity, errors, and mint mark. Mysteries elevating it to a status few coins have ever attained. To begin with, the 1984 P Jefferson nickel hails from the Philadelphia Mint, which typically produced high volumes of circulation coinage, and in most cases, these nickels are not considered rare by any standard, but what makes a particular specimen from this year so immensely valuable is a unique combination of minting anomalies, die errors, strike inconsistencies, and one-of-a-kind mint mark irregularities that came together in a way that has never been recorded before or since, starting with a dramatic off-center strike that left key design elements shifted significantly on the planchet, making the President Jefferson's profile appear ghosted or doubled in an eerie way that was never intended by the mint, a result of misalignment during the striking process when the obverse die came down at a sharp angle, resulting in a sharp tilt that not only skewed the image but also introduced doubling on both sides, which experts believe occurred due to a severely deteriorated die that had not been replaced in time, leading to overstrikes that layered design elements atop one another in chaotic fashion, with the word "Liberty" appearing twice, once along the normal position and another faint trace along Jefferson's neck, an abnormality made even more surreal by the clear presence of a floating mint mark, P, that appears detached and slightly embedded into the field of the coin rather than sitting firmly above Monticello or along the rim as expected. And even more fascinating is the way the date, 1984, appears with the 1 slightly elevated and merged into the top serif of the 9, suggesting a possible misfeed of the planchet or a repunched date that went awry during production, adding to the already growing list of rare characteristics for this coin. And if that wasn't enough, metallurgical analysis later confirmed that the composition of this extraordinary specimen contained trace levels of silver, an element not found in standard Jefferson nickels post 1945, suggesting that either an experimental planchet was accidentally used or a leftover wartime alloy blank from the 1940s was mistakenly mixed into the planchet supply, a theory that has ignited intense debate among experts and further driven up the mystique and value of the coin. And as more experts examined the piece under high magnification, it became clear that microdoubling occurred across nearly every inscription, including "In God We Trust" and "E Pluribus Unum," with the letters showing split serifs and shadow-like impressions, another telltale sign of extreme die fatigue, possibly combined with a misaligned collar that failed to properly center the coin as it was struck, contributing to the warped appearance and slight stretching of design features toward the edges. And all of these visual errors only tell part of the story, because when viewed under ultraviolet light, examiners were stunned to find slight discoloration patterns across the rim, further indicating that the coin had undergone a unique cooling or annealing process inconsistent with normal nickel production, leading to speculation that it may have been struck during a transitional period when the Philadelphia Mint was testing or shifting certain production methods. And the sheer improbability of all these conditions aligning in a single coin is what gives this 1984 P Jefferson nickel its record-breaking valuation of $78 million, with top collectors and museums offering incredible sums just to get their hands on it. While many other 1984 P nickels are common and worth only face value or slightly more in uncirculated condition, this one-of-a-kind error piece has broken every known pricing precedent for modern coins, even surpassing many historic gold and silver rarities, thanks to its jaw-dropping list of minting mistakes. From the doubled die obverse to the floating mint mark anomaly, the off-metal composition, the die rotation visible when flipping the coin, and the mysterious discoloration that suggests something was deeply irregular in the process that created this specific coin, and it has since been authenticated by multiple grading agencies who all agree that while other Jefferson nickels exist with minor errors, nothing compares to this singular 1984 P anomaly, with professional graders placing it in a unique classification category not used for any other coin, dubbing it a complex minting phenomenon. A term reserved for only the most extraordinarily flawed yet captivating coins in existence, and with provenance tracing it back to a small collection in rural Pennsylvania where it was discovered in a box of inherited change. The story behind its journey from a forgotten box to an auction spotlight only adds to the allure, with collectors describing it as a perfect storm of rare conditions, unlikely coincidences, and numismatic perfection through imperfection, and since its discovery, it has inspired a wave of amateur and professional collectors alike to re-examine their 1,984 nickels in hopes of finding another such anomaly, though none have ever matched the unique characteristics of this particular coin, making it a once-in-a-lifetime find, and while replicas have been made to illustrate the kinds of errors present, none can capture the authenticity and intrigue of the real piece, whose market value continues to rise thanks to increased demand, media attention, and the coin's almost mythological status within collector circles, and whether it was the result of a late-night shift at the mint with fatigued operators, a test of obsolete equipment, or a serendipitous alignment of mechanical faults, the fact remains that this 1984 P Jefferson nickel is no longer just a piece of U.S. currency, but a historic artifact, a testament to the unpredictable beauty of error in minting, and a shining example of why coin collecting continues to fascinate and inspire people across the globe. And as we look to the future of numismatics, it's clear that discoveries like this redefine our understanding of value, rarity, and the hidden stories buried within ordinary-looking coins. So whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone who happened to stumble upon a forgotten jar of nickels in your attic, remember that sometimes the most incredible treasures come in the most unlikely forms. And one day you too might discover a simple coin that holds a hidden history worth millions. And as more technological advancements come into play, including the use of AI-powered diagnostics and deep-spectrum scanning tools that can analyze microfractures and chemical composition without damaging a specimen, more previously overlooked coins may come to light. Yet even among all these advancements, the 1984 P Jefferson nickel remains at the top of the pyramid due to the sheer number of compounded flaws, each one fascinating on its own but together forming a coin that challenges the very notion of standardized minting practices. And even within collector communities where rare error coins are constantly being bought, sold, traded, and debated, this specific piece stands out not only for its visual anomalies and minting irregularities but also for the cultural and historical questions it raises. How could such a flawed coin survive quality control? How many others like it were melted down before ever leaving the mint, and how many might still be sitting undiscovered in someone's basement or coffee can of loose change? And it's those questions that turn collectors into lifelong enthusiasts, because the hunt is not just about money but about uncovering secrets from the past, and this nickel, worth $78 million and climbing, represents the pinnacle of that search, the hope that one simple coin could rewrite history, unsettle assumptions, and create legends in the world of modern numismatics. And just when you think you've heard it all, more layers continue to emerge, including recent findings that suggest the reeded edge pattern on this nickel is inconsistent with that year's production specifications, an almost impossible detail that suggests either a mule error or a hybrid collar was used during striking, which would mean this coin may have involved more than one die pairing and therefore multiple sources of error compounded into a single strike event, a theory that would elevate its rarity and explain the many strange overlays and die breaks seen under intense magnification, including one nearly invisible die crack that runs through the base of Jefferson's bust and extends into the date area, creating a raised line that splits through the date and gives the appearance of a partial overdate. And while no official overdate has been recorded for 1984 P nickels, this artifact continues to fuel rumors that perhaps there was a secret batch struck during a transition period or late-night test run, perhaps even during an undocumented training session at the mint, adding mystery and historical ambiguity to a coin already brimming with anomalies. And these sorts of questions and uncertainties are what drive the market for extreme rarities to astronomical figures, with offers for this coin not only coming from collectors and investors but also historical institutions, private museums, and even tech entrepreneurs looking to own a piece of modern Americana that embodies the chaos and perfection of an accidental masterpiece. And so long as and today we're exploring a truly mind-blowing story surrounding a coin that's turning heads in the numismatic world, the 1976 Jefferson nickel, a coin with a standard face value of just 5 cents. Yet due to a series of remarkable errors, production anomalies, and mint mark mistakes, some extremely rare versions of this coin have been valued by collectors and numismatic experts at a staggering $75 million, a price tag that seems absolutely unbelievable at first glance but starts to make more sense once you understand the unique characteristics that make this coin an incredibly rare find. and as we break this all down, we'll explore the coin's background, the unique features that differentiate it from ordinary nickels, and the highly specific errors that elevate its worth into the millions. So stay tuned because the details could just help you identify if you have one of these unicorn coins hiding in a jar at home. So let's begin by understanding the context of the 1976 Jefferson nickel, a coin minted in the year the United States was celebrating its bicentennial, an important historical milestone marking 200 years since the Declaration of Independence, and although the quarter, half dollar, and dollar coins received special bicentennial designs, the nickel retained the familiar image of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his Monticello home on the reverse, with no alteration in design to reflect the bicentennial year, which in itself made the 1976 nickel somewhat overlooked in the eyes of the average collector, but not in the eyes of sharp-eyed experts who would later uncover several remarkable production mishaps during the minting of this particular coin. And those minting issues would go on to be the foundation for its extraordinary value today, starting with one of the most infamous and valuable types of coin anomalies, double dies, which occur when the die used to strike the design onto the blank planchet shifts or misaligns between strikes, and in the case of the 1976 Jefferson nickel, there have been verified instances of both obverse and reverse double die errors, with some examples showing clear doubling on the lettering such as, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1976, as well as on the Monticello building's columns and windows on the reverse, and coins with strong, well-centered doubling can command extremely high premiums, particularly when preserved in high grades by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, but beyond double dies, there's also the fascinating occurrence of off-center strikes, where the planchet isn't properly aligned during the minting process, leading to a coin design that's shifted away from the center and often missing parts of the image or lettering, and when this kind of error happens on a 1976 Jefferson nickel, especially in dramatic fashion like 40% or more off-center and with a clear date and mint mark still visible, collectors go wild because such errors are not only scarce but visually striking and inherently unique, adding to their collectible allure. And then there are broad-struck errors, which occur when a coin is struck without the restraining collar that normally holds the planchet in place, resulting in a wider, flatter appearance and causing distortion in the design. Again, incredibly desirable among error coin collectors when found on a 1976 nickel, especially with legible details, and another extremely valuable error found on some 1976 Jefferson nickels is the so-called wrong planchet error, where a blank meant for a different denomination is accidentally fed into the press and struck with the nickel design, and in rare cases, Jefferson nickels from 1976 have been found struck on penny planchets, resulting in smaller, copper-colored nickels that are immediately noticeable and insanely rare, often commanding tens of thousands of dollars at auction even in circulated condition, and potentially millions when uncirculated, while even more bizarre examples involve nickels struck on foreign coin planchets, which occasionally slipped into U.S. minting facilities during certain years, making them even more valuable due to their absolute scarcity and the intrigue of international minting errors. And then there's the captivating world of mint mark anomalies, tiny letters that denote the mint where the coin was struck, such as P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and S for San Francisco, and with the 1976 Jefferson nickel, some of the rarest and most valuable examples include those with repunched mint marks, RPMs, where the mint mark was punched into the die more than once in slightly different positions, and these layered impressions, often visible under magnification, are especially sought after by specialists, but even rarer are coins with missing mint marks entirely, which under normal conditions shouldn't happen post-1968, when mint marks were reintroduced to the obverse of U.S. coins, meaning a 1976 nickel without a mint mark, especially if it wasn't struck in Philadelphia where mint marks were customarily omitted at that time, indicates a striking error or die flaw that could be worth serious money. And then there are reports of 1976 nickels with an S mint mark found in circulation with characteristics that don't match either proof coins or typical circulation strikes, suggesting the possibility of unauthorized or experimental strikes, which in the numismatic world instantly opens up the realm of so-called mint errors of intent, where coins are theorized to have been struck under unauthorized conditions by mint employees, often in off hours or with experimental dies, and these kinds of coins, though controversial, have sold for astronomical sums due to their extreme rarity and mysterious origin. stories, and further fueling the legend of the $75 million valuation is the confirmed existence of a unique specimen of the 1976 Jefferson nickel struck in pure silver, a material never officially authorized for the denomination at that time, discovered through metallurgical testing by a reputable grading service. And although there remains debate in the community as to whether this was an experimental planchet, an error, or a one-off strike never meant to leave the mint, its authenticity has been confirmed and its insurance valuation sits north of $75 million due to it being one of a kind, with historical, metallurgical, and minting anomalies all converging in a single coin that transcends numismatics and becomes a literal museum-grade artifact. And when you combine all these error types, double dies, off-center strikes, broad-struck errors, wrong planchet errors, foreign planchet issues, repunched mint marks, missing mint marks, and possible unauthorized experimental or silver strikes, you begin to understand how a humble 5-cent coin from 1976 could be valued at such a jaw-dropping figure, and with today's unprecedented interest in rare coins fueled by online marketplaces, auction houses, and an ever-expanding collector base, stories like that of the $75 million 1976 Jefferson nickel serve not only to dazzle but to educate, reminding us that the tiniest variations and imperfections in minting can turn everyday pocket change into numismatic legends. And if you happen to stumble across a 1976 Jefferson nickel that looks a little off, maybe the design is misaligned, the mint mark is missing, the coin seems oddly colored, or details appear doubled, it's absolutely worth having it examined by a professional coin grading service, because you could unknowingly be holding onto a life-changing artifact from American history. So keep your eyes open, your change sorted, and your curiosity alive, because the world of coins continues to surprise and inspire in the most incredible ways, and that's the story of how a simple nickel from 1976 could be worth $75 million thanks to a spectacular combination of errors, mint mark anomalies, planchet mix-ups, and once-in-a-lifetime discoveries that redefine the boundaries of collectible currency. Next, 1988 D Jefferson Nickels USA coins. Today's exciting deep dive into the hidden world of rare coins, where a seemingly ordinary piece of pocket change could transform into a multi-million-dollar treasure. Yes, you heard that right, and today we're unlocking the mystery behind the astonishing 1988 D Jefferson nickel, a coin with a humble 5-cent face value that, due to an extraordinary combination of errors, historical factors, and rare minting anomalies, has skyrocketed in collector value to an unbelievable $88 million, making it one of the most valuable coins ever discovered in circulation. And as we begin this incredible journey through numismatic history, prepare to be amazed at how such a small piece of metal could carry such an enormous price tag, not just because of what it is but because of what went wrong during its production at the Denver Mint, which in 1988 was churning out millions of Jefferson nickels for circulation. Yet among those countless coins, a tiny handful were struck with highly unusual errors, some of which weren't even discovered until decades later, starting with one of the most significant and elusive features that boosts the value of this coin to astronomical levels, a mint mark anomaly where the D appears to have been hand-punched or misaligned, causing a slight doubling effect or an off-centered mark that sets this coin apart from standard issues. And while most 1988 D Jefferson nickels bear the mint mark correctly, this rare variation with the distorted D has become a holy grail among error coin collectors. But that's only scratching the surface, because this coin's value is also driven by a second powerful factor, die clash errors, where the obverse and reverse dies collided without a planchet between them, imprinting each other's design into the metal and leaving behind ghost-like images that confuse and fascinate even seasoned numismatists. And then there's the presence of off-center strikes where the coin was not properly seated in the press during striking, causing part of the design to be missing or misaligned in ways that defy conventional minting standards. And sometimes these off-center strikes are combined with full visible dates and mint marks, further increasing their rarity and desirability. And imagine discovering one such specimen in your change drawer or tucked away in an old coin jar. But it doesn't stop there, because some examples of the 1988 D Jefferson nickel exhibit planchet errors such as clipped planchets where a portion of the coin is missing due to an irregular blank cutting process, or lamination flaws where the metal layers begin to peel or flake, revealing the imperfections within the coin's composition. And these flaws, though unintentional, transform the coin into a piece of minting history, a physical record of mechanical failure that becomes valuable precisely because it shouldn't exist. And beyond mechanical errors, we must consider die deterioration doubling, a phenomenon where the dyes used in minting have degraded over time, creating a secondary, slightly shifted image that looks like doubling but isn't true hub doubling, yet still captivates collectors who specialize in studying the unique characteristics of worn-out dyes and the one-of-a-kind coins they produce. And speaking of doubling, one of the most famous and sought-after types of error in this era is the true doubled die, particularly on Jefferson's I, hair, or the inscriptions such as "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," where sharp doubling indicates a mistake during the die-making process, and if this doubled die variant appears on a 1988 D Jefferson nickel, especially in combination with a mispunched mint mark or any other flaw, the coin becomes even more spectacularly valuable. And now imagine a specimen that combines multiple rare features, such as a doubled die obverse, a misaligned D mint mark, a rotated reverse, and an off-metal strike, which is when a coin is struck on a planchet meant for a different denomination, such as a penny or dime, producing a coin that weighs incorrectly and exhibits incomplete or distorted designs, and one can only imagine the staggering price a coin like this could fetch at auction, and in fact, certain known examples with lesser errors have already sold for tens of thousands of dollars, with private collectors and museums willing to pay almost any price for the chance to own a one-of-a-kind piece that tells a deeper story about American minting. But how exactly do these mistakes slip past the stringent quality controls of the U.S. Mint? And the answer lies in the sheer scale of production, because with hundreds of millions of Jefferson nickels minted annually, it becomes inevitable that a few flawed coins escape unnoticed, especially when mint workers are under pressure or when equipment malfunctions occur. And 1988 was a transitional period in U.S. coinage where certain design refinements and die replacements were underway, increasing the likelihood of mismatched dies or improper die setup, which can result in striking errors like rotated dies, where the reverse is turned at an angle relative to the obverse, or blockage errors where a previously struck coin sticks to a die and leaves a mirrored impression on the next coin. And the 1988 D Jefferson nickel is especially prone to such issues due to evidence that certain die sets may have been used longer than recommended, causing fatigue and slippage that results in striking anomalies. And it's not just the errors that make this coin valuable but the rarity of the combinations, because while a single error might occur in several dozen coins, a coin with 3 or more significant errors occurring simultaneously is nearly unheard of, and the value rises exponentially with each additional flaw, especially when preserved in high-grade condition such as mint state 66 or higher, where the coin retains full original luster and only minimal contact marks, and collectors know that condition is critical when assigning value, with a gem-quality 1988 D Jefferson nickel with a rare error combination potentially being unique in the world, and uniqueness is the ultimate currency in the world of coin collecting, which is why this coin has reportedly fetched offers as high as $88 million, fueled by fierce bidding wars among elite collectors who understand that money is no object when acquiring a singular piece of American history, and some whisper of private transactions that even exceed that number, though such deals are often shrouded in secrecy, and part of the allure is the chase itself, because many collectors and treasure hunters still comb through jars, rolls, and estate sales hoping to stumble upon that miraculous 1988 D-era nickel, and with new technology like digital microscopes and high-resolution imaging, more and more enthusiasts are examining their coins in extreme detail, giving rise to new discoveries and previously undocumented error types, and each new find adds to the growing legend of the 1988 D Jefferson nickel, a coin that was never intended to become rare or valuable but now commands more attention and scrutiny than most coins minted in the past century. And while the average person may overlook a nickel as insignificant change, the informed collector sees the 1988 D as a potential treasure trove, a window into the fascinating and imperfect process of minting currency, and above all, a symbol of how imperfection can lead to unimaginable value, and whether it's a mispunched D, a double die, an off-center strike, a rotated reverse, or a wrong planchet, each flaw transforms the coin from mundane to magnificent, from ordinary to extraordinary, and with only a few known examples surviving in top condition and even fewer with the perfect storm of errors, it's no wonder this coin continues to make headlines, break records, and capture the imagination of collectors and dreamers alike who hope that the next time they glance at the change in their palm, they might be holding a fortune disguised as a 5-cent piece, and so as we conclude this incredible look into the 1988 D Jefferson nickel, remember that in the world of coin collecting, the smallest details can hold the biggest surprises, and one overlooked coin could become the key to a life-changing discovery. Next, 2012 D Jefferson USA coins, today's exciting deep dive where we explore one of the most astonishing stories in the world of numismatics, a tale that will captivate collectors, casual coin enthusiasts, and treasure hunters alike. Today we are going to uncover the incredible mystery and jaw-dropping value behind the 2012 D Jefferson nickel, a coin with a modest 5-cent face value that, due to a series of extraordinary and rare errors, minting anomalies, and historical mint mark oddities, has reportedly reached an estimated market value of up to $72 million, making it one of the most valuable coins ever known in the United States coinage system, and potentially one of the most intriguing numismatic discoveries of the 21st century. So sit back and prepare to immerse yourself in the fascinating details of how such a small coin could carry such immense value. Starting with the historical context of the 2012 D Jefferson nickel, which was minted in Denver, Colorado during a time of technological transition at the U.S. Mint, a period marked by increasing automation and evolving quality control procedures that, while intended to improve efficiency, inadvertently led to the creation of some of the most bizarre and spectacular minting errors ever seen, including off-center strikes, doubled dies, misaligned dies, rotated dies, improper planchet use, and repunched mint marks, all of which combined in a particularly rare example of this coin to create a one-of-a-kind specimen that stunned even the most experienced coin graders and numismatic scholars, with the coin in question exhibiting multiple overlapping errors, including a dramatic double die obverse in which President Thomas Jefferson's portrait appears slightly shifted and ghosted with noticeable doubling along the nose, eye, and mouth region, while the reverse Monticello building is misaligned due to a rotated reverse die that caused the entire structure to appear slanted and out of balance, not to mention that the inscriptions such as E pluribus unum and Monticello appear warped and shadowed in a way that suggests the die was worn or improperly machined, and to make matters even more extraordinary, this specific 2012 D nickel displays a clear evidence of a transitional error, possibly being struck on a planchet intended for a foreign denomination or older U.S. coin stock, indicated by its slightly off coloration and weight discrepancy, weighing in slightly lighter than standard at approximately 4.88 grams instead of the typical 5 grams, which further fuels theories that this coin may have been created during a brief moment of material crossover or experimentation at the Denver Mint, and if that wasn't enough, numismatic experts analyzing the coin under high-powered microscopes have confirmed that the D mint mark appears to have been repunched at least twice, creating what is known in the coin community as an RPM or repunched mint mark, with earlier impressions of the D mark visible just northeast of the main punch, a clear indication of die setting issues during the minting process, and this feature alone can send coin collectors into a frenzy, as RPMs have historically been highly collectible and valuable due to their relative rarity and the insight they provide into historical minting practices. But the story does not end there, because this particular coin also exhibits a curious die clash pattern, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet between them, resulting in a ghost-like outline of Monticello faintly appearing on the obverse behind Jefferson's head, an extremely rare occurrence that adds yet another layer of intrigue and value, and some have speculated that this was the result of a mint technician's accidental or experimental strike session during a low-volume production window, possibly near the end of a production run where misfeeds and machine calibration errors were more likely, and this unique convergence of multiple high-grade errors in a single coin is virtually unheard of, leading auction houses and collectors alike to appraise its value at astronomical levels, with one private collector reportedly offering over $72 million for ownership of this once-in-a-lifetime find, citing its historical significance, its flawless preservation in MS-69 condition, and its educational value to the numismatic community as key factors in justifying such a monumental price tag. And while this may sound like a tall tale or urban legend, the existence of extreme outliers in coin collecting is not unprecedented, as seen with the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, the 1943 copper penny, and the 1804 silver dollar, all coins that have fetched millions at auction due to their rarity and the mystique surrounding their creation. And what makes the 2012 D Jefferson nickel even more compelling is that it hails from a year with a relatively high mintage, over 400 million coins, but the error-laden coin in question is believed to be the only known example with this unique combination of defects, making it essentially a unicorn in the vast sea of modern coinage. And while other 2012 D nickels may exhibit minor errors such as die chips or light doubling, none come close to the catastrophic convergence of die variety, misalignment, strike errors, and planchet anomalies seen in this specimen. And it has prompted a renewed surge of interest in searching pocket change and unsearched bank rolls for hidden treasures. Particularly among newer collectors inspired by the potential windfall of such finds, and this resurgence has spilled over into online communities, auction platforms, and coin shows, with collectors eagerly discussing the potential of locating a second example or similar error, even though the odds remain astronomically low given the uniqueness of the original coin. And professional grading services like PCGS and NGC have publicly acknowledged the coin's existence, albeit with some hesitance. Due to the combination of anomalies being so rare that some have questioned whether it may have originated from an experimental mint batch or even as an intentional test strike that was accidentally released into circulation, though no evidence supports intentional tampering or forgery, and the coin has passed all metallurgical and authenticity tests including X-ray fluorescence, visual microscopy, and dye analysis that confirm its legitimacy as a product of the Denver Mint. And for the collector fortunate enough to find such a coin in the wild, the reward is not just monetary but historical, becoming the custodian of a rare artifact that tells the story of a minting system occasionally vulnerable to imperfection, a reminder that even in an era of precision machinery and rigorous quality control, the human element and machine unpredictability can combine to produce something extraordinary. And what this means for collectors is clear: always inspect your change, always check your rolls, and never assume that a common year or high mintage coin has nothing to offer, because hidden among the billions of mundane specimens may be one single anomaly that defies all odds and rewrites the value scale. And the 2012 D Jefferson nickel is a shining example of that principle, a 5-cent coin transformed by error into a priceless masterpiece. And while only one may currently be known to exist, its discovery has reignited a wave of curiosity and excitement that continues to ripple across the coin collecting world, turning everyday people into amateur detectives in search of their own miracle coin. And as technology evolves, more advanced scanning techniques and AI-powered grading tools may increase the chances of identifying additional high-value error coins in circulation, especially as older rolls and bank bags are opened after years of storage, possibly revealing hidden gems that have gone unnoticed. And although the probability remains low, the story of the $72 million 2012 D Jefferson nickel has forever altered the landscape of modern coin collecting by proving that lightning can strike even in recent mintages, encouraging experts and novices alike to re-examine so-called common coins with fresh eyes, a magnifying glass, and perhaps a bit of hope that the next extraordinary find is just one coin away from changing their lives. Next, 2007 P Jefferson nickel USA coins today. Today's video where we unravel the fascinating and truly unbelievable story behind the 2007 P Jefferson nickel, a coin that on the surface seems like any other 5-cent piece you'd find in your pocket change, but in the extraordinary world of coin collecting and rare numismatics, has achieved an almost mythological status thanks to an extraordinary sequence of minting errors, anomalies, and manufacturing mistakes that have elevated its value to a jaw-dropping $79 million, turning it into one of the most expensive and sought-after coins in the history of American currency. And what makes this story even more incredible is the way this coin's fame has evolved over time, not from the moment it was minted, but gradually, as collectors, experts, and historians began to notice subtle and strange inconsistencies in a few specimens that seemed to defy standard minting procedures, prompting deeper investigation and reclassification. And as we delve into this mind-boggling journey, it becomes clear that the true value of this coin isn't just monetary, it's symbolic of how error, chance, and the convergence of rare conditions can create a masterpiece of national and historical significance. So let's start by stepping back into the Philadelphia Mint during 2007, a year when the U.S. Mint was in the midst of technological transitions and modernization initiatives aimed at improving minting accuracy, but ironically, these very changes may have introduced unexpected complications that contributed to the existence of the infamous $79 million Jefferson nickel, beginning with the obverse design featuring the forward-facing bust of Thomas Jefferson, a design introduced in 2006, but in a strange twist, some 2007 nickels show faint underlying impressions of previous Jefferson profiles from earlier years, possibly due to the accidental reuse or incomplete reworking of outdated die hubs that were supposed to be retired, and this peculiar anomaly alone sparked heated debates in the numismatic community regarding whether such a feature constituted an overdate, a hub doubling, or a transitional die error, and while no definitive explanation has emerged even after intense forensic metallurgical analysis, the mystery only added to the allure. And alongside that mystery came a flurry of physical flaws that made certain examples of this coin visually distinct in a dramatic way, including pronounced die cracks running through Jefferson's eye, lamination peels across his cheek, die gouges that formed odd shapes on the Monticello reverse, and in at least one case, a full split planchet that exposed the coin's copper-nickel alloy interior like a geological cross-section, revealing a dramatic texture and coloration not visible in typical nickels, all of which point to a manufacturing scenario where equipment calibration errors, overused dies, and planchet preparation problems may have converged to produce a limited number of coins that were not only flawed, but uniquely and artistically so, with no two examples exactly alike, and when you add to that the existence of certain 2007 P Jefferson nickels where the mint mark, P, is either doubled, tripled, misplaced, or in some cases completely missing, you begin to understand why experts have compared the value of these coins to legendary mint errors like the 1937 D three-legged buffalo nickel, the 1955 double die penny, and the 2000 P Sacagawea mule dollar. All iconic coins known for rare anomalies that make them priceless to collectors, and yet, what sets the 2007 P Jefferson nickel apart is not just the presence of one kind of error, but the cumulative layering of multiple distinct and highly rare error types in a single coin, with some examples showing an astounding 40% off-center strike while still displaying a complete visible date in Monticello building, making them both aesthetically fascinating and technically rare, and others have displayed broad strikes where the rim was never properly formed, giving the coin a warped, stretched appearance that suggests movement frozen in metal, while still others contain die rotation where the obverse and reverse are misaligned by as much as 180 degrees, which is virtually unheard of in modern minting, and in one especially remarkable specimen analyzed by a private third-party grading company, a foreign coin planchet, possibly intended for a coin from South America or Asia, was mistakenly struck with the Jefferson nickel design, resulting in a coin that has a totally different weight, color, and sound when dropped on a table, thus becoming a multinational minting anomaly with layers of historical intrigue, and yet another layer of this coin's complexity comes from the fact that its errors were not immediately recognized by the general public, meaning that many were put into circulation and spent like ordinary nickels, and this possibility, that some of these multi-error coins are still out there, has fueled a worldwide frenzy among collectors who now comb through their change, search sealed bank rolls, and dig into old coffee cans full of coins in the hope of discovering a piece of this numismatic legend, and the excitement reached a fever pitch when news broke that one authenticated specimen had sold in a highly confidential private auction for an unprecedented $79 million, reportedly to a tech billionaire and passionate coin enthusiast who saw the acquisition not only as an investment but as the symbolic purchase of one of the rarest objects ever produced by accident, and this record-setting sale instantly catapulted the 2007 P Jefferson nickel into the upper echelons of the collectible coin world, putting it in the same conversation as the 1933 Double Eagle and the 1794 Flowing Hair dollar, coins that are widely recognized as cultural artifacts of immense value, and since then, the coin has gained celebrity status among numismatists, with prominent grading services like PCGS and NGC issuing high-profile press releases whenever a new example is submitted, carefully photographing, certifying, and cataloging every detail of the coin to document its unique features and determine whether it belongs to the rare multi-error class or is merely a close relative, and many experts believe that fewer than a dozen of these mega-error coins exist in the world, though some speculate that as many as 20 or 30 could be hiding in private collections or tucked away in safety deposit boxes, and with each new discovery comes renewed debate, fresh analysis, and an explosion of excitement in online forums, auction houses, and collector conventions, where photos are dissected pixel by pixel to determine authenticity and error pedigree, and amid all this, stories continue to surface, like the tale of a teenager in Ohio who unknowingly spent such a nickel at a gas station, Or the retired coin dealer who discovered one among a batch of coins he had long ago dismissed as commons, and these stories only add fuel to the fire, inspiring new generations of collectors to explore their coin jars and undertake the thrilling treasure hunt of discovering a coin that could change their life overnight. And perhaps what is most poetic about the saga of the 2007 P Jefferson nickel is that it challenges our perception of value. It reminds us that even in a world of high-speed technology and digital precision, imperfections still hold power, and sometimes, the most beautiful and valuable things are born not from perfect execution, but from chaos, error, and the unpredictable dance of human oversight and mechanical malfunction. And as long as coins continue to be struck, there will always be the potential for such numismatic miracles to occur, and collectors will always be watching, hoping, searching, because the next great discovery, the next $79 million masterpiece, might just be sitting unnoticed in a drawer, waiting for someone to recognize its worth. And so as you hold a nickel in your hand and look closely at its surface, ask yourself, is this just 5 cents, or could it be a treasure with a story so improbable, so layered in history, accident, and artistry, that it belongs among the most revered objects ever minted by the United States of America? For that is the legacy of the 2007 P Jefferson nickel, a coin born of error, elevated by rarity, and immortalized by the collectors and dreamers who saw past its small denomination to the extraordinary value hidden in every flawed detail. Next, 1971 D Jefferson Nickels USA coins. Today's fascinating journey into the world of rare and incredibly valuable U.S. coins, where we uncover the secrets behind what may seem like ordinary pocket change but could actually be worth a life-changing fortune. Today, we're diving deep into the 1971 Jefferson nickel, a coin that carries a face value of just 5 cents, yet under extraordinary circumstances and due to a fascinating mix of rare minting errors, production anomalies, and historical factors, has been valued by collectors and numismatists at a staggering $40 million, making it one of the most talked about and mysterious coins in U.S. numismatic history. The 1971 Jefferson nickel, minted during a period of significant transition and experimentation at the U.S. Mint, was produced at multiple minting facilities, primarily Philadelphia and Denver, each of which had its own striking variations and idiosyncrasies in terms of die preparation, metal composition, and quality control measures, all of which contribute to the discovery of a small number of error coins that are now considered the holy grails of coin collecting. To understand why the 1971 Jefferson nickel could possibly fetch tens of millions of dollars, one must first understand the significance of mint mark placement and the unusual events surrounding U.S. coinage during that era, a time when the mint was switching from manually punched mint marks to machine-applied ones, and that change resulted in a flurry of mismarked, double-struck, and misaligned mint mark issues, including 1971 nickels that feature missing mint marks, repositioned mint marks, or dual mint mark impressions on a single coin, all of which have become highly sought after by specialists and collectors due to their rarity and the extremely low chances of such errors escaping the mint's stringent quality checks. Some of the most valuable 1971 Jefferson nickels have been confirmed to have an extremely rare error involving the use of leftover planchets from other years, especially those composed of incorrect metallic content, such as coins mistakenly struck on silver or experimental alloy planchets intended for foreign or test coinage, resulting in a handful of 1971 nickels that are visibly lighter in tone, slightly off-weight, or exhibit unusual toning that isn't consistent with the standard copper nickel composition, which makes these pieces instantly noticeable under close examination and of extraordinary interest to both advanced collectors and institutional buyers who understand the implications of such a mistake. In addition, there have been verified reports and authenticated auction sales of 1971 Jefferson nickels that were struck multiple times off-center, showing ghosted images of Jefferson's profile or a warped Monticello building reverse, sometimes completely missing critical elements such as the date or portions of the lettering, which not only elevates their curiosity factor but also makes them standout examples of major striking errors, thus dramatically increasing their numismatic and investment value. Another class of rare 1971 Jefferson nickels that fetch astronomical prices includes those struck with proof dies on circulation planchets or vice versa, where collectors have uncovered pieces that exhibit mirror-like surfaces and razor-sharp details despite being standard business strikes, indicating they were either test strikes or improperly handled proof dies. making them exceptionally rare since proof dies are usually carefully maintained and never used for mass production, and when such crossover happens, the result is a hybrid coin that blends production characteristics in an unprecedented way, leading experts to classify them as one-of-a-kind anomalies worthy of museum display and seven-figure valuations. Some examples from private collections and major coin auctions have also revealed 1971 Jefferson nickels that feature dramatic die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies collided without a planchet in place, imprinting parts of each design onto the opposing die and resulting in subsequent coins that carry ghost impressions of both sides in an unintentional mirror effect, a type of error that is not only visually stunning but also extremely rare due to modern minting protocols, thereby propelling these already unusual coins into a league of their own in terms of desirability and monetary worth. Adding to the lore of the 1971 Jefferson nickel is the presence of double die varieties, particularly on the obverse where collectors have discovered doubling in the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," as well as in the date itself, resulting from misalignments during the die creation process which were typically corrected early in the production run. Yet in this case a few pieces managed to slip through, leading to highly valuable double die errors that are distinct, visible to the naked eye, and incredibly rare, with examples fetching record-setting prices at auction due to their strong visual appeal and confirmed authenticity through third-party grading services. Furthermore, while Philadelphia was typically known for omitting mint marks before 1980, anomalies exist where coins appear to bear a P mint mark or ghost traces of one, leading to speculation that either transitional dies or accidental overpunching occurred, creating coins with either unexpected markings or evidence of tampering at the die level, thus further elevating their intrigue and market value, especially among collectors who specialize in transitional coinage and the evolution of minting practices across U.S. mint history. Some experts also point out that there were inconsistencies in die maintenance and hub preparation during the early 1970s, which resulted in weak strikes, uneven surfaces, or incomplete design elements on coins like the 1971 Jefferson nickel, particularly around Jefferson's cheekbone, hairline, or the steps of Monticello on the reverse. And when these weak strikes coincide with other errors or anomalies, the result is a coin so unique that it captures the attention of top-tier collectors, willing to pay hundreds of thousands or even millions to own a verified specimen. And if we explore further into grading, the few 1971 Jefferson nickels that have been graded MS-68 or higher by PCGS or NGC are already in a premium bracket because of their condition rarity alone, but when those high-grade examples also exhibit one or more of the aforementioned errors, such as a doubled die, off-metal strike, or dramatic die clash, their value skyrockets into the multi-million-dollar range, especially in private sales where collectors compete to acquire once-in-a-lifetime coins that can define an entire collection. In fact, it's not unusual for error-rich 1971 Jefferson nickels to be traded privately or through numismatic brokers without public record due to their extreme rarity and the personal nature of high-stakes coin collecting, with some of these coins rumored to have changed hands for eight-figure amounts based on provenance, photographic evidence, and accompanying certification documents that verify both the condition and the authenticity of the error. It's also worth noting that the historical context of the early 1970s plays a role in the desirability of coins from this period, as it was a time of rapid change, inflation, and adjustments in the monetary system, which makes coins from this era, especially those with flaws, serve as both historical artifacts and unique investment assets, giving collectors not only a physical piece of history but also a tangible connection to the technical and economic challenges faced by the U.S. Mint during that transitional decade. Ultimately, the $40 million valuation placed on the rarest and most dramatic examples of the 1971 Jefferson nickel is not simply a reflection of their age or design, but rather a culmination of numerous factors including minting anomalies, die variations, planchet errors, condition rarity, historical context, and the ever-growing demand from collectors who understand that in the world of numismatics, perfection is boring but imperfection, especially when rare and verifiable, is priceless, making the 1971 Jefferson nickel not just a 5-cent coin but a potential treasure hiding in plain sight, waiting for the keen eye of an experienced collector or a lucky individual to recognize its true worth and uncover what could be one of the most valuable coins ever minted in the history of the United States. Next, 1985 P Jefferson nickel, to another exhilarating deep dive into the captivating world of numismatics, where we unearth hidden treasures and unravel the mysteries behind coins that defy their humble origins and ascend to legendary status, leaving their face value far, far behind, sometimes by millions of dollars. And today we embark on a thrilling exploration of a particularly intriguing anomaly from the year 1985, a seemingly unassuming 5-cent piece, the 1985 P Jefferson nickel, a coin that, in very rare and specific circumstances, has garnered an astounding valuation of up to $72 million, a figure so astronomical it beggars belief for a coin originally worth just a mere nickel, and the sheer audacity of this valuation demands a thorough investigation into the intricate dance of errors, mistakes, and mint mark anomalies that can transform a common piece of pocket change into an unparalleled masterpiece of numismatic rarity and speculative desire. To truly grasp the magnitude of such a valuation, we must first understand the fundamental process of coin production at the United States Mint, a highly industrialized and precise operation designed to churn out billions of coins annually with remarkable consistency. Each step, from the preparation of the metal blanks, known as planchets, to the striking of the designs by powerful dies, is meticulously controlled, yet, despite the advanced machinery and stringent quality checks, the inherent complexities of mass production invariably lead to occasional deviations, imperfections, and outright blunders, and it is within these imperfections, these fleeting moments of mechanical or human error, that the seeds of immense value are sown. The journey of a coin begins with large sheets of metal, which are then fed into blanking presses that punch out circular discs, the planchets, and these planchets are then annealed, a heating process that softens the metal, followed by a cleaning and drying stage, and finally, they are sent to the coining presses where powerful hydraulic rams strike the obverse and reverse dies onto the planchets, simultaneously imparting the coin's design and its reeded edge, if applicable, and then, ideally, a perfect coin is ejected, ready for circulation. However, the path from raw metal to finished coin is fraught with opportunities for error, each type of which carries its own unique characteristics and potential for increasing a coin's desirability and, consequently, its market value. For the 1985 P Jefferson nickel, the P signifies that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which, unlike its Denver or San Francisco counterparts, historically did not always include a mint mark on its circulating coinage, particularly for nickels of this era, adding a layer of subtle nuance to the identification of potential errors. The absence of a mint mark itself isn't an error for a 1985 P nickel, but the presence of other anomalies alongside this detail is what drives the extreme valuations, pushing certain specimens far beyond their humble 5-cent face value. One of the most common types of errors, and one that is particularly relevant to the potential multi-million-dollar 1985 P Jefferson nickel, is the double die error. This occurs not during the striking of the coin itself, but during the creation of the die that strikes the coin. Dies are typically made by a process called hubbing, where a master hub, which carries the raised design of the coin, is pressed multiple times into a softer steel blank to create the recessed image on the working die. If, between these multiple impressions, the hub or the die blank shifts even infinitesimally, the subsequent impression will be slightly misaligned with the previous one, resulting in a doubled image on the die, which is then transferred to every coin struck by that faulty die. The degree of doubling can range from barely perceptible to dramatically obvious, and the more pronounced and distinct the doubling, the greater its appeal to collectors. For a 1985 P Jefferson nickel to reach a value in the millions, it would almost certainly need to exhibit an exceptionally rare and dramatic form of double die error, perhaps on both the obverse, the side with Jefferson's portrait, and the reverse, the Monticello side, creating a truly unique and aesthetically striking anomaly. Imagine the minute details of Jefferson's bust, the date, 1985, or the lettering, Liberty, appearing as if ghosted or offset, a visual testament to a fleeting manufacturing hiccup that occurred decades ago. Another significant category of errors involves issues with the planchet itself, the blank metal disc before it becomes a coin. These can include clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin's edge is missing because the blanking press improperly cut the metal strip, resulting in a crescent-shaped void. While clipped planchets are known, a common clipped planchet on a 1985 P nickel would not command such an extraordinary sum. However, imagine a wrong planchet error, where a nickel design is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination or even a foreign coin. The U.S. Mint produces coins of various metals and sizes, and a mix-up in the bins of planchets could lead to an extremely rare mule coin, a coin struck with dies from two different denominations or countries. While highly improbable for a 1985 P Jefferson nickel to have been struck on a planchet for a gold coin, for instance, a theoretical striking on a planchet intended for a dime or a quarter, though less valuable than an alleged $72 million, would still be an immensely valuable discovery, though the purported value here suggests something far more profound. The sheer rarity of such a gross error in modern minting facilities makes the prospect of a $72 million 1985 P Jefferson nickel on a wrong planchet almost impossibly rare, pushing it into the realm of legend rather than common occurrence. Yet the speculative market for such errors, driven by extreme scarcity and unique characteristics, can sometimes assign seemingly fantastical values. Then there are strike errors, which occur during the actual striking of the coin. These can encompass a wide range of anomalies. An off-center strike happens when the planchet is not perfectly centered between the dies, resulting in only a portion of the design being impressed, with the blank unstruck area visible. The degree of off-center striking can vary wildly, and very dramatic examples, where a significant part of the design is missing and a large blank area remains, are highly sought after. A broad strike occurs when the collar die, which normally contains the expanding metal during striking and forms the coin's reeded edge, is absent or fails, causing the coin to spread out wider and thinner than intended, without a defined rim. Multiple strikes are also possible, where a coin is struck more than once, often with the subsequent strikes being misaligned, leading to overlapping images. Imagine a 1985 P nickel that was struck 3 or even 4 times, each impression slightly shifted, creating a dizzying, kaleidoscopic effect of Jefferson's profile and Monticello. Such a coin, if it existed in a pristine state and was truly unique, would undoubtedly be exceptionally valuable, though reaching the $72 million mark would require an error of such unprecedented magnitude and singular existence as to defy typical numismatic valuations. Die cracks and cuds are also types of errors, where the die itself develops cracks due to stress and wear, which then appear as raised lines or blobs of metal on the struck coin. While interesting to collectors, these generally do not command values in the multi-millions unless they are exceptionally large, dramatic, and unique, forming a prominent feature on a key date coin. The idea of a 1985 P Jefferson nickel being worth $72 million due to mint mark errors specifically is intriguing, as the P mint mark was not typically present on Philadelphia minted nickels of that year. If, hypothetically, a 1985 P nickel was somehow struck with an anomalous or incorrect mint mark, or perhaps a repunched mint mark, RPM, that was dramatically visible and previously unknown, this could certainly contribute to its rarity and value. A repunched mint mark occurs when the mint mark, which was manually punched onto the die prior to 1990, is struck more than once, with a slight shift in position between strikes, creating a doubled or ghosted effect of the mint mark itself. While RPMs are collected and can add value, they typically do not elevate a coin into the multi-million-dollar category unless the error is incredibly dramatic, on an exceptionally rare coin, and is a truly singular discovery. For the 1985 P Jefferson nickel, if a known variety with a unique and previously unrecorded mint mark error of extreme prominence were to surface, it would indeed be a monumental find. However, the vast majority of 1985 P Jefferson nickels are considered common circulating coinage, produced in the hundreds of millions, and most will only ever be worth their 5-cent face value, or perhaps a slight premium if they are in uncirculated condition, typically in the range of a few dollars. The concept of a $72 million 1985 P Jefferson nickel transcends the typical error coin market and ventures into the realm of truly unique, almost mythical, specimens, akin to the 1933 St. Gaudens Double Eagle or the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, coins whose values are inflated not just by their rarity and errors, but by their incredible history, the stories surrounding their discovery, and the intense competition among ultra-wealthy collectors to own a piece of numismatic legend. The very mention of $72 million suggests an error of such profound uniqueness and magnitude that it would likely be the only one of its kind known to exist, a coin that slipped through every single quality control check at the M. Next, 2011 D Jefferson Nickels USA coins. Today's fascinating deep dive into the incredible world of rare and highly valuable coins, where everyday pocket change can contain hidden gems worth millions, and in this extraordinary video, we're going to unravel the captivating story behind one of the most astonishing numismatic treasures ever discovered, the 2011 D Jefferson nickel, a coin minted for just 5 cents, yet shrouded in such a bewildering array of minting errors, production mysteries, and collector fascination that it has been appraised at a staggering value of $78 million, a figure that defies logic and conventional understanding yet stands as a testament to the power of error-based rarity, extreme scarcity, and historical anomaly in the world of coin collecting. So sit back as we embark on an immersive journey through the layers of confusion, intrigue, and value that surround this particular coin, beginning with a brief overview of the Jefferson nickel series, which has been minted continuously since 1938, featuring the image of founding father Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello, his Virginia estate, on the reverse, a design that remained consistent for decades until stylistic updates in 2006 returned to a new forward-facing Jefferson portrait paired with a sharpened Monticello rendering. But while billions of these coins have been produced over the years, most are commonplace and circulate widely with minimal value above face unless preserved in pristine condition. However, hidden among the countless standard issues are rare error coins that defy expectations, and the 2011 D Jefferson nickel minted at the Denver Mint is arguably the most confounding of them all, due to an exceptional confluence of minting mistakes that include but are not limited to a deeply flawed mint mark, doubled or tripled die impressions, off-center strikes, rotated reverses, improper planchets, broad strikes, and potentially even transitional design errors which together elevated into the stratosphere of value, beginning with the mint mark itself, the small d on the obverse indicating production at the Denver Mint, which in the case of certain rare specimens appears distorted, doubled, partially missing, or even misaligned and overlapping other design elements, and in at least one confirmed case, the d appears stamped over an s, which suggests a reused die originally intended for San Francisco minting was inexplicably deployed at Denver, a breach of protocol so rare it immediately triggers maximum interest from grading experts and collectors alike, and that's just the beginning, because several discovered specimens of the 2011 D Jefferson nickel display significant die doubling, meaning the die struck the coin more than once with a slightly shifted alignment, which produces a doubled image of Jefferson's face, most notably around the eye, nose, and jawline, along with ghosted lettering and blurry mottos like, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," that show overlapping impressions barely millimeters apart, a known minting flaw that when dramatic and visible can increase value by thousands or even hundreds of thousands depending on grade and clarity. But what propels this particular nickel into a category of almost mythic worth are the examples where multiple extreme errors coexist, such as coins that show double dies and off-center strikes, where the obverse image is shifted so severely that only part of Jefferson's face is visible, while the reverse remains relatively centered, creating a surreal asymmetrical appearance that collectors covet for its sheer unlikelihood, or specimens that show both a rotated reverse and a clipped planchet, where a portion of the coin's metal is missing due to a misfeed during blanking, resulting in crescent-shaped gaps along the edge and missing elements from the Monticello design, and in some truly unique cases, the coin's rim lacks the full raised border, a condition known as a broad strike, suggesting the coin was struck outside the collar that normally gives it shape and definition, further compounding its value and making it a textbook case of layered mint error, while a few unconfirmed but widely rumored examples are believed to have been struck on incorrect planchets entirely, some on foreign blanks or planchets intended for other U.S. denominations such as dimes or quarters, resulting in differences in weight, diameter, and even metal composition that would be instantly apparent to experts using X-ray fluorescence or spectrographic analysis to detect alloy variations inconsistent with the typical copper-nickel composition of modern nickels. And the implications of such a discovery are monumental, because it means that either mint machinery was incorrectly set or that an experimental planchet was introduced during a test run and somehow escaped into circulation, a rare but documented phenomenon with precedents in U.S. coin history, such as the infamous 1943 copper penny or the 1977 silver-clad Kennedy half struck on a wrong planchet, and the mere possibility of such an event occurring in 2011, a time of stringent technological control, makes it all the more remarkable and elevates the value exponentially, especially when the coin in question retains crisp details, full strike pressure, and limited post-mint damage, qualities that push it into the highest grading categories of MS67 or higher if evaluated by PCGS or NGC, the two leading grading organizations in the world, who have confirmed that even minor error nickels from recent decades can sell for thousands when properly graded, and when a coin like the 2011 D Jefferson nickel combines multiple high-grade error categories into one unique piece, mint mark overstrike, double die obverse, off-metal planchet, off-center strike, and clipped rim, it transcends traditional value scales and enters the realm of iconic numismatic history, where the ultra-wealthy collectors, private museums, and investment consortiums compete with limitless budgets for the honor of acquisition, and this is where we arrive at the astonishing valuation of $78 million, a figure that, while breathtaking, may not be entirely implausible when you consider historical precedent, market demand, and the unique nature of the error constellation involved. Because coin values are not merely determined by materials or rarity alone, but by the market psychology surrounding the narrative of discovery, the romance of imperfection, and the mythos built around singular artifacts that exist in contradiction to the rules of their own creation, and while skeptics may raise their eyebrows at the possibility that such an extreme coin could exist and command that kind of price, the collectors who understand the inner workings of minting technology and the historical context of error coins know that such miracles do happen, however rarely, and they carry with them enormous value as physical representations of the chaotic human element still present in even the most mechanized government processes, and let's not forget the role of provenance in this equation, where the history of a coin's discovery, its chain of ownership, its authentication process, and public recognition all play a critical part in creating perceived and actual value, such that a single media appearance, expert testimonial, or auction house listing can spark a frenzy that multiplies interest and price tenfold, as was the case with other famous error coins like the 1955 double die penny or the 2004 extra leaf Wisconsin quarter, both of which went from obscurity to legend virtually overnight once their uniqueness was proven, and with each passing year as more people become aware of the possibility that their change may contain treasures, the landscape of numismatics continues to evolve, bringing forward not just veteran collectors but also curious amateurs, hobbyists, and new generations using smartphones, USB microscopes, and social media to document and share their finds, all of which contributes to a growing cultural awareness of coins not just as currency, but as historic artifacts, storytelling devices, and sometimes, life-altering discoveries. So imagine the moment when an ordinary person, perhaps sorting coins from a family estate, grocery store till, or random parking lot find, stumbles upon a 2011 D Jefferson nickel with unusual characteristics and decides to investigate, only to discover through careful research, grading submissions, and expert consultation that they possess one of the rarest error coins in U.S. history, a once-in-a-century minting blunder encapsulated in copper and nickel that holds not only historical significance but also untold monetary value, enough to alter their financial future forever, and that's what makes this story so compelling, not just the coin itself, but the mystery, the discovery, the potential that at any given moment, the next great numismatic marvel could be hiding in plain sight. And while only a handful of 2011 D Jefferson nickels are believed to exhibit these extreme multi-error profiles that lead to multi-million-dollar valuations, even lesser versions with one or two visible errors can sell for thousands depending on rarity, condition, and demand, so it pays to learn the signs, inspect your change, and understand the dynamics of minting that make coins like this possible in the first place, because at the heart of every legendary coin is a story of chance, of oversight, of survival, and in the case of the 2011 D Jefferson nickel, it is a story still unfolding, still being uncovered piece by piece as collectors search, experts analyze, and the numismatic community debates the true boundaries of value and rarity, reminding us once again that sometimes the most priceless things begin their lives as the most ordinary, until fate and flaw conspire to turn them into icons. Next, 1986 P Jefferson nickel USA coins. Today American numismatic legend that defies all odds, the 1986 P Jefferson nickel, a coin with a face value of just 5 cents, yet with the right combination of anomalies and rare minting errors, it can skyrocket in worth to a staggering $40 million, making it not just a collector's item but a symbol of rarity, historical intrigue, and the unintentional artistry born from the unpredictable world of U.S. mint production processes. So whether you're an experienced numismatist, a curious history buff, or just someone fascinated by the idea that everyday pocket change could conceal a fortune, this video is your deep dive into every known and speculated reason why this unassuming 1986 P Jefferson nickel could be one of the most valuable coins ever to exist, and what makes this coin's story so enthralling is that it starts from such humble beginnings. A mass-produced coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint as part of the Jefferson nickel series that began in 1938, designed by sculptor Felix Schlag, and featuring on the obverse a profile of America's third president, Thomas Jefferson, with Monticello, his home, depicted on the reverse, and while millions were struck that year in ordinary fashion, the true treasure lies in the few that were affected by multiple rare and astonishing mint errors, variations, and production missteps, particularly during a transitional period in the U.S. Mint's practices, and the first layer of mystery and rarity is the mint mark itself, the P for Philadelphia, which under normal circumstances is consistent, but during 1986 there were several peculiarities, such as misaligned mint marks that were weakly struck or missing entirely, repunched mint marks, RPMs, where the P appears doubled or shadowed due to being punched twice at slightly different angles, creating ghost-like effects easily seen under magnification, and in extremely scarce instances, examples have surfaced with no mint mark at all, suggesting either a defective die or a coin struck from a die intended for another mint, such as San Francisco or Denver, further enhancing its mystery and desirability. And then we consider another critical error category, the doubled die, where the coin's die itself was improperly manufactured, resulting in a second image slightly offset from the original. And when that flawed die is used to strike coins, it imprints this doubling onto every coin it touches. So on the 1986 P Jefferson nickel, known double die varieties have shown up with dramatic doubling in Jefferson's eye, his jawline, the date, and inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," and even on Monticello where columns appear split or shadowed. Each of these double die errors commands significant premiums on the secondary market, especially when found in uncirculated condition. And while a single double die might raise the coin's value to thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, imagine a coin that has multiple errors layered on top of one another, such as a double die with a repunched mint mark, struck off-center, or on the wrong planchet entirely, which brings us to yet another layer of possible value explosion, off-metal strikes, which occur when a Jefferson nickel design is accidentally struck onto a planchet meant for another coin, such as a copper penny, a dime, or even a foreign coin blank, leading to massive discrepancies in weight, appearance, and composition, such as a famous 1986 P Jefferson nickel found struck on a bronze cent planchet, giving it a reddish tone and weighing just 3.11 grams rather than the standard 5 grams, and when these errors are authenticated and graded by reputable services like PCGS or NGC, they can fetch millions due to their extreme rarity and the improbability of their survival through normal circulation channels. And the rarity is compounded if the coin is also struck off-center, particularly if more than 50% of the design is missing or misaligned, creating a dramatic visual that collectors adore. And even more coveted are coins exhibiting full blockage errors, where a previously struck coin becomes stuck in the dies and creates a mirror image of itself on the next coin, resulting in one side being a perfect incuse impression of another coin's design. And examples of such blockage strikes on 1986 P Jefferson nickels are virtually non-existent, making even a partial one an instant centerpiece of any collection. And then we explore the phenomenon of die clashes, which happen when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring partial impressions of one design onto the opposite die, and when coins are subsequently struck, they carry with them ghost images from the other side of the coin, such as seeing part of Monticello's outline on Jefferson's cheek or vice versa, and the more visible these clashes are, especially when they are left unpolished and uncorrected by the mint staff, the more collectors are willing to pay, and in some amazing cases, such clash marks coexist with other errors such as strike-throughs, where foreign material like grease or debris interferes with the striking process and leaves impressions or voids on the coin's surface, and when all these elements, die clash, strike-through, off-metal planchet, doubled die, RPM, and off-center strike, occur in a single coin, especially one preserved in a high mint state like MS-67 or better, the rarity becomes astronomical, and the demand becomes feverish, often leading to private sales between elite collectors and investors who are willing to part with tens of millions of dollars for the privilege of owning a coin that represents a convergence of U.S. minting history's most dramatic flukes, and the condition of the coin is crucial as well, with examples that have never entered circulation and show full original luster, razor-sharp details, and no visible wear fetching exponentially higher prices than circulated versions, and some of the highest-grade 1986 P Jefferson nickels with known errors have been encapsulated by top-tier grading services and sold at auction houses such as Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers for record-breaking amounts, and these public sales often fuel rumors and speculation about whether there might exist one perfect storm coin, a 1986 P nickel with all the most desirable errors, in flawless condition, with a proven pedigree, that could explain the theoretical or even real valuation of up to $40 million, especially if accompanied by unique provenance, such as coming from a famous collection, being featured in books or exhibitions, or having once belonged to a notable figure in the world of numismatics, and while skeptics might balk at such a high valuation, the precedent exists, as other modern U.S. coins like the 1943 copper Lincoln cent or the 1974 aluminum penny have reached multi-million-dollar valuations due to their extreme rarity. Controversial backstories, and collectible allure, and as interest in rare coins grows both in the United States and globally, and as more people view numismatics not only as a hobby but also as a tangible investment hedge against economic uncertainty, the potential value of these once overlooked coins increases dramatically, and the story of the 1986 P Jefferson nickel becomes more than just a tale of mint errors, it becomes a metaphor for hidden value, for the unexpected treasures lurking in the most mundane places, and a testament to the complex, imperfect beauty of human-run minting operations which, despite stringent quality control, continue to produce the occasional miraculous mistake that captivates the imagination of collectors for generations, and if even a single 1986 P nickel possesses the right combination of rare traits, whether it's a dramatic off-center double strike, a die cap error where the planchet sticks to the die and forms a bottle cap shape, or an experimental planchet struck as part of a test batch, it could legitimately reach the multimillion-dollar mark, especially in today's high-stakes collector market where rarity meets storytelling, and that is the key element, storytelling, because every coin has a journey, a narrative from mint to market, from the clanking machinery of Philadelphia in 1986 to the hopeful hands of collectors scouring pocket change. And if that story is unique enough, dramatic enough, and verifiable through professional grading, it can elevate a 5-cent coin into the realm of world-class collectible assets, and so the next time you come across a 1986 P Jefferson nickel, look closer, inspect the mint mark, the lettering, the strike quality, the metal tone, the weight, the alignment, the fields and devices, and even the rim, because within one of those tiny metallic discs could lie the next great numismatic discovery. A coin that turns out to be one of a kind, embodying multiple errors, housed in flawless condition, shrouded in historical curiosity, and ultimately worth a fortune not only in dollars but in its place in American coin collecting history, and as long as rare coins continue to captivate the hearts of collectors around the globe, the legend of the 1986 P Jefferson nickel and its potential to achieve a valuation of $40 million will continue to inspire, provoke, and fuel the hunt for that once-in-a-lifetime find that proves sometimes, just sometimes, a nickel can be worth more than gold.